I'm just going to get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Nare Garibian. I'm an academic counselor here at GCC, and I'm also part of the Armenian Genocide Programming Committee at GCC this year. From the committee, we thank you all for being here and choosing our lecture. We appreciate your attendance. There are 3 more events this week to culminate our programming. Reminders will be sent later on in the week, so please pay attention to those. So just some technical information before we get started. Throughout the lecture, a sign-in link will be provided in the chat. We ask that students, faculty, and community members sign in. If you need extra credit as a student, there is a place to put your professor's name. We are also providing closed captioning today and ASL interpretation. If you need ASL interpretation, from the gallery view, you can pin the interpreter so you don't lose the image. The lecture is also being recorded today. We would like to invite you to read our speaker's bio and lecture description on our cultural diversity webpage. I don't want to take too much of Tsoleen's time. So our guest speaker today is Tsoleen Sarian, Executive Director of Project SAVE, Armenian Photograph Archives. Before I pass it on to Tsoleen, I would like to recognize a historic moment that occurred on Saturday, April 24, just this past Saturday. President Biden recognized the Armenian genocide as genocide, following the recognition by both houses in Congress 2 years ago. This has opened a new page of new advocacy and next steps. And perhaps photography can play a role in that next advocacy stage. With no further delay, Tsoleen, the floor is yours. You may share your screen.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to the Armenian Genocide Programming Committee at Glendale Community College for inviting Project SAVE Armenian Photograph Archives to be part of your commemoration events, resiliency through genocide, healing through community. Resiliency is how we as our Armenians are keeping our culture vibrant and alive, despite 106 years ago, and again a few months ago, attempts to erase our existence. We're alive through the continual denial. And so Project SAVE, Armenian Photograph Archives, we make our original photographs from as early as 1860, accessible for research, publications, and presentations. The photos tell of who the Armenians are, our heritage, our history, our culture, and we are a vibrant people contributing to society in many, many ways. We are constantly working towards increasing access to our archives. Of the 45,000 photographs in our collection, only about 11,000 are currently digitized, but we now have a searchable database for the public to indicate what is in our collection, and that's at projectsave.org/gallery. We'll get there. This is, just a sample of what that page looks like. I like this quote from Peter Balakian. It says, Project SAVE serves as a witness to history. But it's not just our past, it is our present and future that we are preserving and sharing. Through our photographs, Project SAVE Archives celebrates Armenian identity, sharing treasured cultural elements such as dance, music, food, family, and faith. Our objective is to amplify these themes across generations and distant lands, which reflect today's vibrant Armenia and the Armenian people worldwide. The featured photographs I'm going to be sharing with you, I've kept in groups, and I've chosen them to be over time and around the world. So you'll see this thread and with the idea of resiliency, of passing on to our future generations these elements. And the thread of tradition runs through these photos and their stories, creating tapestry of dynamic Armenian life. So these guys, we're not sure from where they're from, but it's about 1915. Okay. 1934, Athens, Greece. 1938, Calcutta, India. This is the Armenian Philanthropic College, the Martasiragan Jemaran. 1970, Washington, D.C., the Vanik Armenian Children's Dance Group. Cousins celebrating a graduation from medical school in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, sorry, Pennsylvania, oops. I went too fast, but that was 1988 in Reedley, California. And these guys are in Armenia, Girovagan, Armenia. These girls are 2006 in, again, Washington, D.C., the Araks Armenian Dance Ensemble. And Sayat Nova Dance Company of Boston. So again, over the years, there's this thread this section was dance. So we're connecting people with their heritage while documenting the photographs through the stories photo donors tell us. And so our process of collecting these photographs, it's really, we try and sit down with the photo donor, collect the names, the dates, photographer, place, and the stories as much as we can. We understand that in some cases people don't know, but this is our ideal process of sitting down with the photo donor and really taking the time to document all that information. And so this is some of the information that it looks like on our archive side that's now available on our website. I'm going to try and share. This is about my family's collection here. Let's see if this works. Okay, evidently you guys couldn't hear that. Sorry about that. We'll move on to the next section. So now that was dance, and this is education. For me, this was important because we do have photographs of women graduating and this idea of education being a value, not just to men in our community, but the women. 1894, graduating class of Adapazarı, Turkey. 1899, Armenian Girls High School. The Aintab Medical College graduation, 1905. Salesian Armenian Evangelical Seminary, graduates and faculty, 1908. This is Marash. I love this picture. It's the 50th anniversary of the Aintab Women's College, 1909. And look how many graduates there are. That makes me so proud to see this photograph. This is a kindergarten and nursery school, 1909. Primary School of Anatolia College, again, 1909 in Marzavan, Ottoman Empire. This photograph is by the Dildilyan brothers. American Protestant Missionary School, also 1909 in Marash. The Euphrates College graduating class of 1910 of Kharkiv. And we have many of these names. I mean, they're written on here, but and the picture of the school down below. This is Jacob Hagop Hekimian, Tufts Medical School graduation, 1917 in Medford, Massachusetts. He then returned back to serve, to go back to Armenia and serve those that were coming through. This is 1930s in Leninagan, Gyumri, Physics and Polytechnic Institute. 1947, Istanbul, science students and teachers of the National Central School. The Spirak Arts and Music School, date is not known of this. And this next section is about consecration of churches. So as we think about living throughout the diaspora and what it took to come to a new land and establish a community and bring together resources with the hope that that community is going to be permanently there and have a future. So let's go through these churches. Of course, faith is a part of our Armenian identity, and this idea of starting churches in different places. This one in particular is 1896. There was an Ottoman law that a building couldn't be built, a permit was not readily given. So this community framed the church overnight, being able to go around that rule. Church members constructed their humble church overnight, complying with a law that said a structure built in one night does not require a permit. Years later, this building was replaced by a stone edifice, still used today. This is 1900 Fresno, Holy Trinity Armenian Apostolic Church. This is members of the Assembly of Delegates for the ratification of the Constitution of the Armenian Apostolic Church in Worcester. And some of the names down below, you can see them, and they've come from all over the country to be part of this signing. Again, for a future in America, of building these churches in America. 1906, this is West Hoboken. Now it's called Union City in New Jersey. Consecration of Kevork Church in Marash, 1907. This one is 1937 Watertown. I like this one. They have the young boy in the middle there holding a cornerstone as well as the elders around. In honor of the new built Central School of Marash and the blessing of the cornerstone of St. Kevork Church, 1937, Aleppo, Syria. Priests, deacons, and parishioners gather to bless the building of St. Stephen's Armenian Apostolic Church in Watertown, 1956. And another one from that St. Stephen's, and another one. And this is one of my most favorite photographs in our collection. If you look closely, you see the snow coming sideways. So they picked this cold, miserable day to go outside and bless the ground for this church. Imagine their hope for a future and not just faith, but coming together and saying and staking their claim for a future community, to keep that Armenian faith, to keep those Armenian traditions. This is one of my favorites, so I'm glad to share it with you today. a mortgage burning. And this is from 1990, the framing of St. Sarkis Church in Douglaston, New York. And finally, these groups of pictures now, it's about service and activism. You know, as we're going through turmoil and so forth, our community has come together, and this is a powerful component of our worldwide Armenian community, coming together and serving and answering the call to action. These women are the Armenian Red Cross volunteers from Whitensville, Massachusetts, 1918. The Red Cross banner just inscribed in Armenian with initials of the Armenian Revolutionary Federation and the words Red Cross Women's Society. The flag of the First Armenian Republic, which used sky blue and the United States blue for the middle stripe, which appears white here. Like the nurses, scouts. These guys are from Tabriz, Iran, 1930s. This was from Boston, 2012. The youth had gathered to protest the extradition from Hungary and the subsequent pardon of the Azerbaijani axe murderer who had killed our Armenian Lieutenant Gurgen Maragaryan. So this was in his, protest for that. And of course, the centennial commemorations. So this one's a little out of line, but this is 1988. So on the ground there are red flags. The Armenians had thrown their flags on the ground. This was a Soviet October Revolution Day, and as protests to what was happening in Azerbaijan, in Baku, and to call for Soviet help to defend, and anger for lack of defense for what was happening to the Armenians. This is in France. It's an ARF reading room in Gardon in France. Again, the community is coming together to share news and support, very similar to what continues. A women's group in Connecticut. Again, women's group coming together for a church bazaar or cooking. This is Istanbul, 2015. These are 1988 demonstrations in front of Armenia's parliament, calling for the reunification of Armenia and Artsakh. And 2006, Carolyn Mugar is planting Armenia Tree Project's 1,500th tree. The recent war in Artsakh revealed attempts to manipulate Armenian history. So it's become critical to share our photographs as primary source material and to really combat these efforts to erase Armenian culture, heritage, and stories. And so our online gallery, we've been adding to make these photographs accessible, searchable, and to add to the presence of web presence of Armenian history and culture in a broader way, if that makes sense. Research requests help us create better access. As people ask us for certain types of photographs, certain places, years, and so forth, we're able to look through our archives and find more. And again, those are the priority we make to add to our gallery. They help us with new search terms. People ask us, for example, photos of the genocide of a particular village or city. Armenian businesses in the early 20th century in the US. And often filmmakers will come to us too. And so that is what drives our process to sharing all this. In addition, we're building collaborations beyond the Armenian community, again, to create more, so more people can know about these photographs, hear about the photographs. Digital Commonwealth is through the Massachusetts legislature and our library consortiums. And we've given to them about 200 of our panorama photographs. And so again, for our photographs to be on the larger library consortium websites, it helps them find us, be more relevant beyond just the Armenian community. And again, some other ways that we are collaborating and sharing our photographs publicly, and also amplified again beyond the community. And we often get calls like this of people who don't know the names or dates of the people that they may find. It may be in-laws or aunts and uncles or so forth, or they're moving the house and they find these photographs. And those are precious to us as well. Even if they may not be able to identify the photographs, we're able to use social media or even have it in our collection, because there's value to those photographs. They do show Armenian life, and we don't want any of that to be lost or forgotten. And this is talks about how we collect photographs and how we share them. And I'm thrilled to be able to review all that with you guys. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I welcome questions you may have or other things that we can answer about these photographs. I'm happy to.
Tsoleen, do you want to share your video again? I think if you have to share sound or unmute the video, perhaps, if you want to try it one more time.
Yeah, let's try that. Let me get there. So that little video was, it's about, I'll tell you again, but okay, hold on. My grandparents were photo donors, so they had given their photographs in 1984 to Project Save. And so for me to come on and, okay, so let's see, how do I'm in Zoom. Let's share.
Yeah, it looks like it's ready to play. We could try one more time.
Yeah, I just don't know how to make the sound. Share this.
Do you see audio on the bottom right hand corner of that video? You see when you hover your mouse over the video and right there at the bottom. Okay. Okay, doesn't seem to be syncing.
All right, I guess it's okay. I don't want to take people's time, but if we try one.
We can. Here. I mean, I'll just tell you that it was my grandparents.
Can you tell us more about your grandparents and how they shared their photos?
Yes, exactly. So my grandfather was a minister in Worcester, and Ruth Tomasian, who's our founder, had prepared an exhibit in Worcester through the Worcester Art Museum, and so had reached out to the community to add photographs then. And so, you know, in 1984, both my grandfather and grandmother had given their family portraits from Aintab. So they were from 1900 and 1902, the Khachadurians and the Shnorhokians. And there had been back and forth. And so to see their handwriting and to see that the conversations, in addition to these photographs from that were their families before, and both families had to leave Aintab and go through Deir Zor and through the desert. And these portraits show the family as whole before the genocide. So, but our Project Save's collection, it's not just before the genocide and life. Our objective is to show all Armenian life from all over the world, and to show how Armenians thrive truly with their, you know, by starting families and businesses and education, and also regular people and their work and their regular lives. And in today's presentation, I tried to pull those threads together of you know, what does it mean to be Armenian, trying to answer that question, and then, you know, show that over time and around the world, we do have so much in common, and what it is that we're passing on, while also keeping and holding on to our past.
We have a question here. Can people contribute to the collection?
Yes, so that was a discussion about the unknowns, people that they might not know. We certainly are grateful for donations of photographs, and we do collect the original photographs. We ask you to make copies of the digital, like scan them for your family to distribute them, and we collect the original. That's because there's integrity in the paper photograph, and also, you know, we found that we have photographs from 1860s and they're pristine, whereas digital files seem to, there's other challenges and variables with digital files. So at this time, we do only collect the originals, and again, they don't have to be old country, right? It's we want to show Armenian life.
Or if there are any questions, you could either put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask your question. I have a few questions, but I wait for the audience to ask if there's any. Okay, let me just ask the next question, unless there's someone else who'd like to ask. All right, I'll just ask and then we'll open it up to other. Hasmik, would you like to share your comment, or do you want me to read it? I guess I'll read it, Hasmik. Hasmik writes, thanks for sharing your precious photographs and what you do to preserve them and tell our history. So she's asking, where is the link or email we can send our old photos to you for your project? Can you share it in the chat if possible?
Yep. So the easiest is projectsave.org.
Okay, I'll type that out.
And then it's projectsave.org and collections is the easiest.
Thank you. So I'll ask my question.
Sure.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And in that, there's the website does provide instructions on what we ask you to protect the photographs and send them to us, and what information we ask for, all that's up there. But if you do have questions, our information's there too. Please reach out. I'm happy to answer and get to know you anyway. So please reach out anyway.
So the question is, an audience member, Hasmik, is asking, have you thought of printing these pictures in a book one day?
Yes. So the primary way we used to share these photographs was a calendar. Every year we would create a calendar, and we still do create calendars of a specific theme. And it was a way to, give the gift to someone else about Armenian culture or history. And that was the primary way we were able to share our vast archive as well. And tell the stories, is a way to tell the stories. We still do create this calendar. And the other good thing about the calendar is you get a new one every year, whereas a book may stay on the bookshelf. A calendar is something that it's simple to pass along to other people, and you get a new one every year. So in terms of a book, we have been, it's something that we do think about, but we want to make this dynamic, and we want to continually be sharing, and so social media has been a way that we share these photographs and their stories. So both Instagram and Facebook. I'm not as active on Twitter, but our account is Project Save Archives, and yeah, follow us and share us there too, please.
Thank you so much. So my question, I guess, let me ask if there's no other questions. Can you, with what's happening in society today, in general, with the social injustices that we're facing, can photos from the past or present help our societies see how we are more alike than different? I just wonder, do photos have that power, in your opinion?
They certainly do. The idea of, perhaps this year in particular, the idea of, with the pandemic, the idea that people come around the table to eat and gather, and families and friends, and I didn't share those photographs, but there's many, and like you said, there's more we have in common, and the dance uniforms from all over the world. And when you think of Armenian dance, it's those uniforms, but they're from over the decades and around the world. Food, language, and faith too. Again, this idea that our faith is consistent around the world, and during the war, we saw people lay all the differences aside and say, and we're Armenian, and we stand with Artsakh, and so that was a flashpoint for me too, to say, okay, we need to talk about all that we have in common, and true, my family went from Aintab to Syria, to Lebanon, to the US. My other family went from Gesaria to and whatever, but I care for my heritage, and so does everyone, as we think about where we are and what we have in common. There's more that we have in common, and we share. I can stand side by side than else. And unfortunately, April 24th does show that, at least in Boston. Unfortunately, April 24th is what brings our community together once a year, the war being different, but that too, we need to move beyond that and celebrate other things that bring us together. Independence Day, or other aspects that bring us together.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think photos are more than, they say photos say a lot more than words can. And
Yeah.
it seems that it could also bring people together. We have a question about the photograph I believe you had really liked as well. The one photograph with the many women at the medical college. The
Yes.
question is there any information about the type of specific studies they would have concentrated on back then? Is there any information?
So I believe that photograph came to us from a granddaughter, but I will, and so I'll say that most of these photographs are from individuals or families. So they will be albums that their grandparents had assembled, or, you know, or a portrait on the wall. And so that's how they come to us. So specifics about courses or professors, unfortunately, we lose in the most case. Mostly we will know, oh, that's my grandmother. She or grandfather, they were a graduate of that program, and so forth. So that's more of the level of information we have, as opposed to specifics of coursework, or some pictures we have of people of like the professionals or artisans, but that level, unfortunately, we don't always get. But that's where it's important to talk to your families, right? To talk to your families about where your families came from, and the types of work that they did, and the types of education and how they worked with their family. And we do hope that our photographs help people inquire with their own families, so that it's not just us protecting this information, but all of us as a community are aware to ask. Oftentimes we ask until our grandparents have passed away to know more about their lives, their everyday lives, not just the high level stuff, but what they did for fun, or how they, not just their daily work, but what music they liked, or foods they liked, or things like that that sometimes get lost.
Yeah, it's important to ask, but especially now that not too many genocide survivors are living.
Sure.
It's more and more important in terms of the genocide material. So another question, is there any questions from the audience? Anybody else would like to ask? And also the one thing that I guess we should also take back or take a hold of is a lot of these photos, like the medical college women, you wonder sometimes what happened to all these people, right?
Yeah.
After they took that picture, it was say 1909, what happened to these people? It was taken right before the genocide. So you sometimes wonder. And genocide also occurred earlier, before 1915, or smaller massacres. So I don't know, I think it's just it's so heavy sometimes to think of it that way, but to also be encouraged to keep those stories going.
Yeah, and for me, it's the what makes it powerful to me is to know that girls are valued, and their education is valued, and in some cases these schools are in other provinces, other villages, so the parents have sent their daughter away to get a higher education, and I'm honored to hear that, to see that. We have a few diplomas as well, and I'm really truly honored to have those in our collection, because that too, I'm proud of my girls and women in our community who are leading our organizations and who are keeping culture and heritage. I'm proud of that, and this just shows it's not a new thing, or the right to vote wasn't a new thing. It's a value of ours as Armenians.
So we have a few comments I could share.
Yes.
Thank you for your answers. Anna is saying, great program and great idea to collect photos. The grandkids like looking through the photos. It would be also good to have videos too. So do you also have videos in the archive, or is it more photos?
We have some videos, they're not digitized. Also, something we're working on is as we collect photographs, I showed you that sitting down and writing,
Right.
we have tape recorders that go to record those conversations. So imagine, so our organization was started in 1975. So at that time, it was to collect from genocide survivors. And so we have those audio recordings of them telling their own family's story. And we're working on getting those digitized. So it's digitized, annotated, and then edited down to the story. And our hope is to be able to make those available with the photographs, to add a layer of texture. So you see the image, but then you also hear the recollections and the stories behind it. So it's something that we're working on. And it's not quite there yet, but it's something that, you know, we're trying to build on.
Great, that's good to know. We have a comment from Hasmik. We need to teach the new generations so that they keep hold of, they don't throw away old pictures of family. And if they decide to do so, they can at least donate to your project, Project Save.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, our biggest competitor isn't other cultural organizations. It's really, unfortunately, as houses get cleared out, the box of photos go into the dumpster.
Right.
And that's why presentations like this with you guys are so important. I'm so grateful because you help us share about our work and the value of these photographs. And again, oftentimes it will be in-laws photographs or grandparents, and so the faces aren't familiar, but there's still value in who those people are. And I like to believe that by sharing these photographs, we're able to honor them, remember them, and so their contributions to our society, their names we may be foggy about, but their contributions to our society are part of who we are and what we pass on to the future generations. And you know, social media is a way that, you know, my social media numbers are significantly with younger audiences, and in those photographs too, we may not know the names, but there may be elements of their clothing, a place that might trigger something that's familiar, or you know, something that someone may see that may be familiar to them. And again, it builds on that question earlier we talked about of there's so much more that unites us. And by saving these photographs, by knowing that there is an organization that wants to collect them and then share them, we're hopeful that we can, you know, really capture all those from being lost and destroyed and forgotten.
Thank you so much. Professor Levon, do you want to speak? Do you want to unmute yourself and speak?
Just something brief about this topic that Tsoleen talked about preserving things. Many years ago, a filmmaker, Michael Hagopian, some of you know about him. And one day, he told me this a long time ago, many years ago, like 30 years ago. And he said one day somebody told him that in Texas, somebody has a big box in the attic, a chest, and it's from a survivor. And he went there. By the time he got there, it turned out, now I don't know all the details, it might be a little inaccurate, but what happened is, as I recall, he went there. He saw that survivor was gone. He's already died a few years ago. So he said, I found out. He's talking to his grandchildren, or maybe his children. Anyway, I found out that he has a big box or something in the attic. And they said something like this: Oh yeah, grandpa stuff.
Oh,
Oh, grandpa stuff. They
right.
threw it away.
Oh, wow.
Thrown it away. It was a chest, and they thought there was a reel of film in it.
Wow.
Reel of film. Let me. Some of you young people don't know what a reel of film is. Okay, and it could have been, and Hagopian knew that there's a rumor that there's film footage of actual massacres.
Mm,
Never found it.
right.
This could have been it.
Mm,
And they said it was a big box. And the attitude was, oh, grandpa stuff.
mm,
I just threw it away.
right.
So please, don't throw anything away.
Thank you for your message. RP, would you like to share your story of the photos you might contribute, or do you want, you could share if you'd like.
Thank you, Nari. I have to dig in and see if we do have the actual original photos.
Okay.
I have some copies in a digital format, but I'm not sure if we have the original ones. But my grandmother, who was an infant during 1915 genocide, she was saved by her mother, who refused to drop her as they were forcing to drop infants to not make noise, you know, to find their location, but she refused to do that. But they were separated from her older sister. A few years later, they were able to find her in one of the refugee camps. But she received a higher education in Tabriz, Iran. I remember she was always telling me about the sinus, cosinus, tangent, cotangent, you know, all this stuff. I was a young kid, I didn't know. She said, yeah, I learned all that. She was a Armenian teacher for her entire lives, and her dedicated her entire life to educating the youth and giving back to the community. She shared that during the time that they were trying to survive, she was making handmade crochets, you know, and she was mastered in Armenian Asavnagorts. She gave me her book and all that. I have to start practicing to get, you know, the skills back to be able to give it back to the next generation. But yeah, I will look into finding original photos if possible. So we cannot turn in any digital copies, right? It is not going
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. There's too many variables, and honestly, you know, there's also the integrity to the photograph. You know, we have photographs of people who've been added into the photograph. Let's say the family was in, the son was here in the US and the family was there. And so there's photographs of people added in. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, that's also been altered, but there's a sweetness to that picture too. There's a story to that picture. But the paper photographs is, you know, as someplace that's offering, that's open for researchers, having that integrity of the paper photograph. We are hopeful that that's going to change, and that, you know, our archivist is working on the security and some of these other variables that are involved with digital files. But for today, we do collect the original.
Thank you.
And could you maybe share, was there like a memorable photo or a memorable collection that you received that you just remember? Was there something that stands out?
You know, the picture of the snow coming sideways is it's so, for me, it's the hope of a future. And to build a community center or to build a school, it takes money, it takes commitment, and it takes a lot of people to come together. And I really applaud that. You know, I'm honored to see that what it takes to build these institutions. And in some cases, it's the first generation, second generation. So they didn't have much resources, and the hope for the future that they bring is really what's inspiring in these photographs. Other photos that, you know, that make me, I chuckle and laugh, and it's the things that are, you know, I recognize in my own friends, in my own family, you know, and to see similar habits, similar things, truly from all over the world, from different times, and to say, you know, we do that too. We're not that different. We do that too. Yeah, but overall, it's the girls in school in the 1800s that take my breath away, and the showing of commitment to a future of preserving Armenian culture and heritage, which makes me so proud. And honestly, it's not so much about the genocide, you know, beyond genocide, beyond this idea of trauma and sadness. It's the hope and the commitment to hold on and to persevere, and the resiliency. As we're talking about resiliency, it's these elements which are so touching to me, and what I celebrate in our archive and in the work that we do.
Well said. I love that. I love that you said that in that way. So we have about 5 minutes. So if there's no questions or comments, if there's anything else you'd like to add, but it's been a pleasure to have you here. I love your enthusiasm and your lightheartedness. I love that. But would there be anything you'd like to add or leave us with today?
Really, it's thank you for your support. Thanks for telling your family members about this archive that exists, that collects photographs, and especially those that may not be part of the larger community, but they're out there. And as people are doing genealogy and looking to find their families and find their information, that's where some of these unknown photographs are so valuable, because I'm able to share them, you know, on our website or on social media, and the people will recognize names, and then we fill it all in. So keep tuned to what we're doing, and tell others about our work as well, and you know, let this resiliency grow and expand.
Thank you so much.
So
and so it's projectsave.org, and you can find more information there, how to contribute, what archives they do have. So just go to the website for more information. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you for being here. If you like to stay behind for a few minutes, let's see if there's any questions.
Sure. I'm delighted to.
Thank you. This ends the official program. Thank you for all being here.